Rantings, a lunatic superhero!
The process for creating the new sound, I mean, it took us a little over a year to write the album. So we were creating the sound through that entire process, but we really had a foundation for that sound based off some songs that we did in between our 6 Feet Deep EP and this album. So I guess technically it's probably been about 2 years that we've been working on changing our sound from that 6 Feet Deep EP to now. So it's been a long process for us to develop the sound that we have now versus what we've had in the past.
We were playing the same set of songs over and over, primarily in town. We branched out a few times to Pocatello and Ogden, but we got kind of burnt on playing the same set of songs in the same town and in the same crowds. So my mindset anyway was that we start with a fresh batch of songs and come out with a new product. We proved to a lot of people throughout the couple of years that we were playing those 12.5 songs that we could write well as a band and that we could perform really well live. And so I wanted to show people that we could also write an album that captures the energy that we have during our live sets, which was something we had never done before.
Writing process for me seemed easier, even though the music that we were making was more challenging. Having Ryan's lyrics and idea of the sound that he wanted was what made it easier.
Well, I kind of wanted it to be somewhat of a challenge, but I really wanted to do something that would take this area seriously. So I just really wanted to approach it with a serious tone, and an idea where this isn't a hobby anymore. This is something I want to do.
So do you guys write the music down or just try to remember it?
We just remember it.
Good God, that seems like
We don't write it down at all.
That seems like the more complicated.
We record it on my phone, and if we get lost, we listen to that.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah, but we really just remember it.
I wrote the lyrics for the songs during a point in my life that I was severely dissatisfied with the way things were going. I was very unhappy. So there was a lot of frustration, and there was a lot of just inner turmoil involved in the lyrics themselves. But the idea for the album and everything that it entails actually happened after that.
just so that we have a blueprint of everything, we should start from the chorus and go through that, and then try to go into whatever sort of outro riff we can do, so that we have it mapped out. Does that make sense?
Previously, we had written songs together as a band, and a lot of bands do this, but we, all got together at practice, and one of us would come up with something. One of us would come up with a riff, or a lyric, or a drum riff, and we would build a song based on, something cool that one of us did, right? So, or a combination of us did. Wes and I would, write something. I play the guitar, he'd play the drums, and we'd write something, and we'd find something that sounded cool, and then we'd build songs out of that. And again, we hit this weird stale point, this sort of plateau with that writing process where, you can only come up with so much on the fly. I mean, you can only create so much just right there in the moment without thinking about what you're doing or trying to actually formulate things. So this time, what we did is I wrote all the lyrics first before we wrote any of the music. So I wrote all the songs out, and I had an idea for how I wanted them to sound in my head. So in writing the songs, I don't know a whole lot of music theory to a certain degree, so I didn't actually write the songs musically. But in writing the lyrics, I had a good idea of what I wanted them to sound like. And so when we started writing the album and we actually sat down and started constructing the songs, a lot of it was based on the lyrics that I had already written. And so a lot of ideas for what the song sounded like came from from that sort of process, and it really helped us to stay on track. You know, one of our biggest problems previously was that we'd write a song and we'd ramble a little bit here and there, or we'd get a little too abstract with it because we were just taking parts and putting them into a whole. Instead of, like we did now, you know, we already had the whole, and we just kind of overlaid it, the emotion of the lyrics with music that would fit the idea of that song. So the writing process was hugely different. We did something that we'd never done before, and I think it turned out very well for the most part.
Ryan wanted to primarily focus on vocals, and so I had to take over the spot of lead and rhythm as a whole. So the writing style I had to approach had to sound a lot more whole and a lot more catchy than it was before. So I would say that there's a dramatic difference in the way that I approach this versus previous songs in the past.
I thought the way that it was like really fast, and then we broke it down for the second part of the 8. Not like 2 8s. It was like, remember, it was like in the middle, and we broke it down, and then we did it again.
Just a thought, what if we do that breakdowny part as an ender again? That part's epic enough and we only do it once.
I just wanted to make something that was badass and push myself further than I have so far with the band. I was never in a band before this, so it's been a great learning experience.
Something people, because obviously, like, this song is really going to be like a crowd song for the most part, because we have that crowd involvement thing that we're thinking about, and we're putting that at some point. Right. And then at the end, the same riff that got people all excited then comes back and gets elongated and just turns into this fucking mosh riff, right? Where people just go crazy for a minute. So obviously for live shows we're gonna have to cut it off at some point, but on the record, like it just goes on until it fades, right? So idea.
Hopefully it affects it in a positive way. Hopefully it affects it in a way where they actually, and I say they as this proverbial like conglomerate of multiple people, they take us more seriously. Because I'm just tired of certain things around the industry, and you just have to make sure that you can express to them that you're serious enough to do this. So it's one of those things where, yeah, people can just release an album, but what separates you, really? That's our separation.
The way that we approached the album is that we wanted to make it different from what everybody else was doing. It's really difficult to separate yourself. I mean, there's a lot of really good bands in this area. There's a lot of really good regional bands that we're not necessarily up against, but that we're playing with and that we know about. And it is difficult in our genre of music to separate yourself from the pack to a certain degree. So really we wanted to do something that was going to shock the scene back into loving metal music, you know what I mean, and shock the fans back into loving the band. We kind of hit a stale point before we started writing the album. We were playing the same songs, over and over again. There wasn't a whole lot of writing going on. Our stage performance, our business nature had hit kind of a plateau. And in order to survive, you have to evolve and you have to change. And like I said, it's very difficult to do that in a genre full of bands that look a certain way, that perform a certain way. I mean, metal, to a certain degree, has become sort of a, there's cookie cutter rock, and then there's just balls to the walls metal, and there's not a whole lot that's in between anymore. And so, like I say, it becomes very difficult to separate yourself. And so part of that, a big motivation for me at least, was to find a way to get everybody's attention, while at the same time bettering ourselves as musicians and performers, but to do it in a way that would gather attention from people, and not just be, boxed into this sort of genre-like idea that, Shades is another metal band, just like this other metal band, and yeah, they're good. We wanted to do something that separated us from that idea.
I was actually very, very nervous about the studio. In my opinion, I think I had one of the hardest jobs to take on and then actually make sure I was good enough to do it. It all turned out well in the end, but it was definitely a more nerve-wracking experience than I've ever had to deal with in my life.
But remember, we were explained that this could happen. Don't beat our heads against the wall if it's not working out. Come back Monday. Same thing that happened this past Monday. We weren't getting nobody whatsoever. Next day we were fine. So
we did a song in that same studio. We did Brick Breaker in that same studio, and that process was a huge clusterfuck. And we were completely unprepared for any sort of professional recording process. We had no idea what we were doing at the time, and we learned a lot from that process, and so we prepared for it before we ever stepped into the studio for this album. So we did a lot of practicing we incorporated a click track into our practice sessions and also into our live performances that are happening now. So we were a lot more confident stepping into the studio. As of this point, we had a better idea of what it was going to feel like. We knew what to expect, and we also knew what was expected of us. So yeah, we were a lot. We pumped out the album in a matter of 2 weeks, where it took us, probably longer than that just to record Break Breaker when we did that. So. Check. Right. Mary had a little lamb, Mary had a little lamb whose fleece was white as snow.
That's the greatest thing I've ever heard, dude.
This time around, we had a lot more expectancy of what was going to happen and the process that we had to do for it. So we did a lot more work beforehand to prepare ourselves for what we were getting ourselves into. The final outcome was a lot more quicker, it went more efficiently. I think we got a better product from it than we ever had before.
Listen, that was really solid take. I mean, it sucked ass. Fuck you.
Day 4.
Corey's a badass. Coulter's a badass. I really enjoyed working with Coulter. I was a little nervous because we didn't really know him before. We knew Corey, so I was like, we'll give it a shot. Didn't know what we're going to do. But Coulter was able to bring a lot to the table and help us in ways that we weren't able to have before. And give suggestions from a musician standpoint. I know we've all touched on that. That was a really, really important aspect.
Normally I'm the guy that runs in and I'm like, all right, this is what we're doing, this is what we gotta do, let's get it done. The last week, I'm just like, Coulter, what are we doing?
No, but it was fun. We knew what to expect of us, so we prepared well in advance.
I forgot how it started.
I really enjoyed the fact that Coulter was there in a big way. Coulter truly brought out the musician in all of us. He really did. He was really able to speak with us on a level nobody else could. And for that, I do hold a lot to that man, to both of those guys. Thank you.
Corey and Coulter were badass. We recorded a song, we recorded Brick Breaker with Corey a couple of years ago. And he was always really good to us. The guy had a lot of information for us and was really generous when it came to providing us with advice, just tips and tricks of recording, especially recording our music. That's why we went back to him for this album. And again, I mean, we had that knowledge. You know, Corey's a really good sound engineer. He'll admit it himself. That's really what he does. And he had a lot of really good advice when it came to techniques for recording. But Coulter really brought a whole nother level to that process. I mean, he really kind of, in his own way, sort of produced the album to a certain degree. I mean, he really came in there with his musician background. The guy has done his own projects, and he's a really good musician from what I understand. And, he really helped us figure out how to approach the music side of recording. You know what I mean? Like, before this experience, recording was a very technical thing for us. It was something that was very sort of just within the grid and had to be done a certain way, and everything was really stressful because we had to get it right and we had to do it perfect and blah 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 blah. And Coulter really helped us let go of that in the studio and helped us to embrace why we wrote the songs and why we play music in the first place and try to convey that within the recordings. And so he gave us a lot of advice on how to approach certain parts, on how to play certain things. Gave us ideas on what we could modify within the recording process to make it sound better. We've got nothing but kind words to say about Corey and Coulter and Sound Delight. Absolutely, they really took care of us and kind of took us under their wing to a certain extent in order for us to make the best album that we could.
And basically, we're trying to do a comic book kind of in correlation with this stuff, but the guy that we've been kind of going to, it's kind of been a bit longer and harder of a process than we kind of realized. But we're just trying to finalize that, and that might not necessarily be the right way.
It's a very novel idea for a local band. The songs themselves were written individually. I probably have written 9 or 10 songs in the matter of a couple of weeks, lyrically. Before I noticed that these songs, they had a trend to them, obviously, because the lyrics themselves were written in about a 3-week to a month time span, and so they had a lot to do with each other, and they had a lot to do with, like I've said, the things that were going on at the time with me personally. But I was sitting at work, and I wrote a lot of these songs at the job that I was at the time because I had a whole lot of free time on my hands. And I was sitting at work one day and noticed that if I read the songs from the first one that I had written to the last one that I had written, they actually told me a story. If I took myself out of my own perspective and out of the individual meanings, I realized very quickly that the album itself was telling me the story of the lunatic superhero and telling me of the story of the content that's in the graphic novel. And what's funny about that is it's not anything that I meant to do, because starting the writing process, that we never intended to come out with a graphic novel. It wasn't the idea at all. But I was sitting at work one day and I was reading through the songs, and it just hit me. Like, the entire idea for the graphic novel hit me in a split second, and it was such a feeling. It was so profound to me at the time that I literally had to take a break from work at a time that I wasn't supposed to take a break, and I had to go outside and process it because it all hit me so suddenly that I had to think about it for a few minutes to really figure it out. That's really where the stage outfit and the stage presence that we're trying to build right now came from. Was that moment when I was completely overwhelmed with this separate idea of what the album was. And so a lot of what we're doing theme-wise, a lot of what we're doing image-wise, and how we're presenting the band to the world now, in a large part has to do with that one moment of sort of clarity and that epiphany that I had that these songs, the band's called Shades of Interpretation, and what's funny about this album is that everybody is going to interpret every song their own way, which is obviously what you want as a musician. You want people to take away from it what they can. But on top of that, the songs themselves, to me, have multiple interpretations, and part of that is the graphic novel, and part of it is the things that I was going through, and part of it is the way that a lot of people just feel day in and day out. But there's there's each song is not about just one thing. You know, each song is not just about you know, like my own bullshit that I have going on in my life, and and a way for me to get that out. Each song is about, you know, it has so many layers to it, and it's about so much more.
Come with me on a journey. Well, I don't have mine on me. Brad might have one.
On a journey?
Come with me on a journey to the vocal recording area where I will be recording vocals. There's a lot of doors in this place. There's like 5 doors to get to where I have to go right now. Just kind of gay.
Better?
Yeah. Go.
I don't want to.
You have to.
Bye.
Say bye.
Bye.
Okay.
Have fun.
Woohoo!
How dare you try to justify your actions or explain them away? You had no reason to do the things you've done, but you did them anyway! Right! You did them anyway! You've been given everything that you could!
I'm super happy with, like I said, we were trying to get a much fuller and solid product than what we had before, so this time around when we decided to go out with an 11-track album and do it properly and follow all the right steps, it was very time consuming and energy consuming as well. When we took those steps going into it, like I said, made it a lot easier for us and made the process just way smoother. Looking back at it, it has been a very long year and a half, but what we've resulted with is I couldn't be happier.
I think this album is going to go up with all my top albums that I listen to. Everything that I've always loved since I've listened to music, this album will go up there.
I think it's turned out pretty well, but I really can't answer that truthfully, until it's truly done and I listen to it in my CD player in my car, and over and over and over again. So I can't really answer that. Like I guess this far, it's been great, but you know, jury's still out. So.
I think it's going to do nothing but help us. It's going to make us stand out from everybody that's doing the scene right now, and it's going to help us out.
In all honesty, I think it's a very, very good album. I think it's a very good album for the genre. I think it's a really good album for all the zombies out there, and for people that are new to Shades. I think it's a good introductory album for them. But I also think that it's a milestone for us as a band. I mean, we've been around for a while, and we've been doing this for a number of years, and you know, we are self-taught for the most part. You know, we didn't really have you know, anybody holding our hand. We didn't have anybody you know, telling us how to do things or how not to do things.
All right. This is the end of tracking, ladies and gentlemen. Woo! But I think we did pretty good. I think we were in and out pretty effectively.
Really, this album kind of culminates an entire process of give and take and of learning not only about, you know, how to play the music that we wanted to play, but learning about each other, learning how to communicate as a band, learning how to appreciate each other in a lot of ways. So, I mean, this album is really, it's really the foundation for whatever we're going to do in the future. And it's important in and of itself, and of course we're going to celebrate it as an individual success, but it really is going to pave the way for future successes and for future writing and future recording and future production and all of those things. It's really, it's pretty much the most important piece of musical work that I've ever, personally, that I've ever completed in my entire life. So it's my favorite thing ever.
Done.
Shades of Interpretation would like to thank a number of people involved in helping to create Rantings of a Lunatic Superhero. Corey Wadsworth and Coulter Wilson from over at Sound Alike Productions for, obviously being a huge inspiration and helping us to record the album. We want to thank Scott Taylor from STS Studios out in Salt Lake, further producing the album and mixing and mastering. Scott has been a great help to us and been really, really generous with us. We also want to thank Matt Edginton and Michael Parker from Villa P Publications and everybody over at the Villa P Publications team. Those guys have just been awesome when it comes to helping us get the graphic novel out. Luke Spooner is the artist on the graphic novel. If you've seen the novel or you've seen any pictures online, the guy is an amazing artist. You should definitely check his stuff out at carrionhouse.com. We also want to thank Brad Denning from Inward Productions and his little sidekick Thomas Colvin, who is more than welcome to get naked in my house anytime he wants to. All the fans and all the zombies who buy the album and come to the shows, fucking rock on. And thank you to my bandmates for being fucking sweet.
That will cut your fucking head off. Then we'll take your cameras and put your body in my truck. And tell your wife that you ran away.
You just bury me out in the desert somewhere. Just like
We always remember you, Brad.
understandable.
We would start every single one of our songs with "This song is for Brad Denning."
No
He's out in the desert somewhere.
no one wants to.
I'm going to hell.
I think we all are.
That's alright. It'll be warm and I'm gonna know all you fuckers there.
Take 2.
Did you come to hear some of our sheet?
Some of your shit?
Some of our sheet?
Do shit?
Look.
Are you really videotaping this right now? You don't want to do that.
There's nothing wrong with donuts and Ryan tits to start off my morning.
What's up on my balls?
Some funny looking nipples.
What?
What is that, dude?
Can I milk them?
Fun story about milking nipples. Ask Gooch to tell you sometime.
Can I milk them?
Giving head to the dead.
You fucking calling me the cockle?
Are you looking at my balls right now? Your ding dong looks good in those pantalones.
Fucking liar!
You deaf motherfucker.
Gage, put this in your ass.
Man, fuck you.
Your penis looks huge in those fashion wears.
He's the one that gets fucked.
With my dick.
Pretty straight up rails a dude.
With my dick.
Fuck you. I've seen Goku's dick like 15 times.
No tits.
But I've seen Goku's dick like 15 times.
Because I was touching my penis.
Dick shabab. I just love the cock. That's all there is to it. Should I take my pants off?
Like, should I just pull this down and...
Maybe I'm homosexual and I don't know it yet.
Purple rain, purple rain.
Fuck!
Do you feel better? Chocolate snacky cake.
We're gonna get video of his balls. I can always hold it up. His balls. I don't get tits for no reason at all, okay? Oh yeah, that's great.
Oh my gosh.
Don't mind that. That was just some asshole talking shit behind his back. You ever seen a boil on your dick? Take off your shirt.
Shit! Now when you take your pants off, I'm going for your cock. Like, that's just gonna happen.
I didn't expect brain damage with that, though.
Shouldn't have struggled.
Keep doing it.
I
Get your fucking skinny little ass up there and do the goddamn same shit.
I see butt. That's all I see.
See, but don't be a bitch. Don't be a bitch.
Snowballs for you, balls for Gabe.
I stick my dick in two different things, and I never hear the end of it.
Did you fuck him?
Gage is gonna fuck you.
Tear it up like you would Gage's asshole.
That I can do.
Obviously never seen my dick.
You've never seen my Tic Tac.
Fucking do it!
I fucking hate you.
What the fuck?
Just fuck you.
I'm the goddamn talent here. Bring me my fucking soda. I said, Brad, bring me my fucking soda.
Please.
God damn it.
Oh my god.
He just vanishes, dude.
What the fuck was that?
Christ. Why? Shut the fuck up.
What? Nothing.
What'd you
Nothing
say?
at all. I didn't say anything, bro.
What'd you say?
Nothing, dude.
Whatever, dude. I'll mess you up.
Fuck!
Fuck.
What a fuck all of a day.
Fuck all of a day. Fuck.
I forgot how it started.
Somebody's playing the fuckins with me. I like fucking dudes in the ass with my cock. Edit that shit.
McFuck.
That's metal. Metal is not fighting to win. Metal is fighting guys you know you're gonna lose against. That's metal.
Fucking guitarists and their demands.
Right on camera, too. Yeah. Dead!
Can you shut this fucking heater off?
I'm not Misty, I just don't fucking understand the words that are coming out of your
I'm not
mouth right
fucking Missy, you cocksucker! I've read expensive shit, don't you? Hi.
That was fucking sick.